Two people were executed in the month of October. Michael Zack, Florida, October 3rd. Zack received the death penalty for killing Ravone Smith on June 13, 1996. Before his crime, he lived in Tallahassee, Florida. He made friends with Edith Pope, a bartender, and started going to the bar frequently. Zack disclosed in a series of conversations that he saw his sister use an axe to kill his mother. Pope felt sorry for Zack and assigned him odd duties around the bar. Zack's girlfriend called him at the bar on June 4, 1996, to let him know that he was getting kicked out of her apartment. Zack never came back after Pope let him use her car to get his personal stuff. He traveled to Panama City in the West, where he went to a neighborhood bar and met Bobby Chandler. Zack was employed by Chandler, a local construction company owner. Chandler offered to let Zack stay with him temporarily after learning that Zack was living out of Pope's stolen Honda. Zack stole $42 from Chandler's wallet and a few firearms from his residence on June 11, 1996, during the night. The next day, he pawned the firearms in Nissville. He made a stop at another bar before driving to Okaloosa County. He met Laura Rosillo there. Zack and Rosillo went to the beach to use drugs after leaving the bar together. Zack attacked her at that beach. He ripped her clothes as he struck her head against one of the tires. Before disappearing, Zack kicked dirt over her face, he strangled her, and concealed her body behind a sand dune. Rosillo may have been assayed based on the physical evidence, but Zack could not be connected to the genetic material found at the scene. Zack went to Joe's Dirty Bar, which is close to Pensacola. He got to know one of the bartenders, Ravone Smith, there. She was able to spend her time chatting with Zack because the pub wasn't too busy that afternoon. Smith was bored, so she called her friend Russell Williams and invited him to the pub. Zack, Smith, and Williams all exited the bar together. Smith told her live-in partner over the phone before she left that she would be working late. After driving to the beach and smoking some Mary Jane, the three went back to the bar. Following Williams' departure, Zack and Smith went to her residence. Zack gave Smith a beer bottle blow to the head as soon as he got inside the residence. Blood spattered across the inside of the door frame and the sofa next to it, along with broken glass fragments. With a trail of blood in her wake, Smith rushed to the master bedroom down the hall. Zack followed her there, where he assayed her. Smith then stumbled into the guest bedroom, and Zack hit her head hard on the wood floor. At this moment, Zack went to the kitchen to get an oyster knife, came back to the guest bedroom, and stabbed Smith 4 times in the chest. He shoved Smith's bloody garments into a dresser drawer and returned the knife to the kitchen to clean it. Along with Smith's purse, VCR, and television, he also took her car. That evening, Zack took the license plates off of Pope's stolen Honda and left it in a neighboring parking lot, along with a few personal items. After that, he took Smith's vehicle back to Panama City and tried to pawn a number of the stolen goods. The store employee asked Zack for identification because she thought the merchandise might be stolen. Zack left Smith's car behind and ran out of the store. A few days later, he was discovered hiding out in an abandoned house and was taken into custody. He admitted to the Pope and Chandler thefts as well as the death of Ravone Smith after being apprehended. Zack's defense attorney claimed during the trial that Zack had PTSD and fetal alcohol syndrome, 2 conditions that are categorized as mental impairments and brain dysfunctions. On October 3rd, the day of the execution, Zack got up at 5:30 a.m. and had meetings with his wife, Ann Kristen, and his spiritual advisor later in the day. Family was present outside the prison during the execution, but his wife was not allowed to witness it. The procedure started promptly at 6 p.m. on October 3, 2023. Zack was asked if he had any last words, and he answered, "Yes, sir." He then lifted his head to look at the witnesses and said, "I love you all." The drugs were administered at 6:02 p.m., and he was pronounced dead at 6:14 p.m., although there was no visible signs of breathing after the first minute. He declined the last meal. Jedidiah Murphy, Texas, October 10th. At gunpoint, Murphy coerced a 79-year-old white woman into giving him a ride in Garland on October 4, 2000. He forced the victim into the car's trunk after they had been riding for roughly 30 minutes. While getting into the trunk, the victim was shot. The deceased was taken out of the trunk and drowned in a creek after Murphy took the victim's car to Van Zandt County. Later on, Murphy bought cigarettes and alcohol with the victim's credit cards. Murphy, 48 years old, was put to death with a lethal injection at the state penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas on October 10th. With his right hand on Murphy's chest, a Christian pastor prayed for the victim's family, Murphy's family and friends, and the prisoner as he lay strapped to a gurney in the death chamber. His last words were, "To the family of the victim, I sincerely apologize for all of it. I hope this helps, if possible, give you closure." He then recited Psalm 34 and said, "The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned." After telling the warden he was ready, Murphy turned his head towards a friend watching through a window a few feet from him, telling her, "God bless all of y'all. It's okay. Tell my babies I love them." Then he shouted, "Bella is my wife." The pastor stood over him, his left hand over Murphy's heart, until a doctor entered the room about 20 minutes later to examine Murphy and declare him dead at 10:15 p.m. local time, 25 minutes after the drug was administered. Murphy appeared to go to sleep as the lethal dose of pentobarbital took effect. In a written statement, Murphy said, "I wake up to my crime daily, and I've never gone a day without sincere remorse for the hurt I've caused." He also had a long history of mental illness. He was abused as a child and was in and out of foster care. October 10th was also the 21st World Day Against the Death Penalty, a day recognized by the United Nations and Amnesty International. There was no special final meal granted, since he was executed by the state of Texas. In October, a third scheduled execution was stayed just 5 hours before it had to be carried out. William Speer, who is on death row for strangling an inmate in prison, committed his first murder when he was just 16 years old. At that time, he killed the father of a friend, suspecting the man was abusive towards his friend. For the month of November, there are 4 people scheduled for execution: Brent Brewer, David Renteria, Casey McWhorter, and Philip Hancock. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.